I think we'll move on from the trailers and go to the next one that I wanted to check out. Where is the video from Mr. Language Jones? I had it open here somewhere. Here it is. Here we are.
A few years.
Are we all starting to sound the same? A linguist responds to the Peppa Pig effect. So someone sent this to me because I've mentioned in the past that a lot of especially a lot of Americans have been developing Australian accents due to Bluey. And it's not just that, right? Like a lot of Australian kids are developing sort of Americanized accents as well from whatever nonsense they're watching on YouTube and TikTok. So you're seeing this once again, like Australia is this like melting pot of accents, and the Australian accent's this real weird thing that formed out of a language experiment, basically. We're sort of starting to see that again now with the internet. I don't know what the specific thing with the Peppa Pig effect is. I've not heard that specific term, but I'm not surprised that it's happening. Anyway, let us check it out.
A few years ago, parents on social media started panicking about something really weird. Their American toddlers were developing British accents. The culprit was Peppa Pig. Kids who'd binged enough episodes were saying "mummy" instead of "mommy," calling cookies biscuits, and even picking up distinctly British intonation.
A bit of what, please?
The phenomenon got...
Okay, yeah, that kid's cooked. You get a bit of water, please? You're in fucking like middle of Texas, and you that's how you speak. To be fair, all the other kids around you probably speak the same way as well.
The Peppa effect. And it raised a question that linguists have actually been working on for decades. If a cartoon pig can change how a 4-year-old talks, what does that mean for the rest of us? We're all drowning in TikTok, Netflix, YouTube, podcasts, endless hours of voices from everywhere. So
Yeah, I would not be surprised if a lot of accents are getting very Americanized because of YouTube and TikTok. Most people, and you'll see this, right? Like you'll see people that are, if someone learns English as a second language, especially if they learn English as a second language, their accent is very much determined by the kind of content they consumed or the teacher they had. Bottle of water. If you're, let's say you're like, I don't know, you're from India, right? You learn English as a second language from, I don't know, someone who's South African. You're probably not going to learn English with an Indian accent. You're probably going to learn it with a South African accent, or at the very least, some of your specific verbiage and intonation is going to sound like your teacher. And if you learned English through, if you learned English through watching The Simpsons, right, you're probably going to speak kind of like an American. If you learned Japanese through watching fucking Yakuza crime series, you're probably going to speak like a Yakuza.
So here's the question. Are accents and dialects actually becoming more similar over time because of technology? The answer is going to surprise you. It actually is this time. Stick around. This video is sponsored by LingoPie. So when I was traveling through Italy last year, I kept having these moments where I'd meet someone, a shopkeeper, a hotel owner, a guy at a bar, espresso bar, obviously. And I'd mention something small, like, oh, you're from Umbria. I've been watching this show about the borghi there, the little hilltop villages. And their whole face would light up. That's the thing about LingoPie. It's a language learning platform, but the focus is on letting you learn through real TV shows and films, actual content made for native speakers.
That is actually really cool. No, that's a really cool sponsor.
With dual language subtitles. You can tap to look up any word mid-scene. I was watching an Italian documentary series about the most beautiful villages in the country, because of course I was, picking up the language while also just absorbing the place. The landscape, the culture, local flavor. I wasn't fluent. Maybe this fall, I've been working on Italian again, but I knew enough to make people feel seen, to create a connection. And while that didn't open a lot of doors, I did get the occasional espresso on the house. LingoPie has libraries in 13 languages. If you want to start today, there's a free trial at lingopie.com/languagejones. And my link gets you 55% off the annual plan. Now back to the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most persistent myths in popular thinking about linguistics and language. The idea that mass media is...
Let me, yeah, here we go. I just wanted to...
Before I was in Japan.
He mentioned, is this the video? Is the one? No, maybe it's a different one. It's the same guy.
Before I was in Japan.
No, what was the fucking video he put out? If I go to his channel and go to the most popular. Yeah.
I think the biggest culture shock about going to Japan for me was that
loading random other bullshit. I did not have. That's not the video I had open. Why is YouTube so bad? Yeah, here's the one. So he mentioned knowing like a Japanese, like an Italian town name, Italian phrase was like a way to like get people to open up. Here's how you get people to open up in Japan. Why did it change?
Just met this lady.
It just changed the video 3 times when I moved the fucking window.
I was on this cab.
Is this? Oh my. Go to the video that I clicked.
I was on this.
Oh my god, why is YouTube fucking broken? That's not the video I'm even clicking. Okay, I'm gonna save the link. We're gonna drag it over here. Okay, now it's gonna work. This fucking website, man. This fucking website.
There was one phrase that I think was the most useful that I didn't think I would ever have any use for, and that was dekai opai ga daisuki, which basically means you go up to them with like broken Japanese and then you just whip out dekai opai ga daisuki. They will lose their minds. I was sitting at a omakase sushi joint, only foreigner in there, and I was sitting next to these 3 salarymen. The guy next to me, maybe 65 years old, white hair, barely spoke any English. They asked me like, what kind of girls you like? I hit him with the dekai opai ga daisuki. And the bro that barely speaks English is like, oh. Me too.
I told you. Me too. Me too. He said me too. I told you.
Every man. Big boobs. My brother. Big boobs, daisuki.
I love that clip so much.
Flattening the way we all talk into some homogeneous global accent. It's an intuitive idea. It's a reasonable idea, and it's mostly wrong. To understand why, we need to talk about a sociolinguist named William Labov, a vowel shift happening right now in cities you've probably been to, and why your group chat matters more than Netflix for how you actually sound. Let's start with the strongest counter-evidence. Beginning in the 1960s, William Labov, the founding father of modern sociolinguistics, and yes, it's pronounced Labov, who's one of my academic advisors, started documenting something happening across a huge swath of the United States. In cities like Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, and Rochester's, vowels were rotating dramatically.
Okay.
Now, what does it mean for vowels to rotate? Oh, not that. At its simplest, it means you put your tongue in a slightly different place. Let's try to understand this. Imagine somebody in side profile facing left.
Okay.
If we could see inside their mouths, we would see that when they make different vowel sounds, the body of their tongue is in different places.
Right.
When it's higher and fronter, you get your E, your A, and when it's down in front, you get your A, and when it's down and back, you get your A and aw, and when it's up and back, you get your oo. We can abstract this as a trapezoid and then fill in all the rest of the vowels, things like and So vowels rotating means the vowel you use in an entire class of words moves to a different position relative to a starting point. In places like Chicago, the word, well, let me ask you what you hear, just like Bill did. What word do you hear? Leave me a comment.
Black.
Now let me give you more of the sentence.
Living on one block.
And the whole sentence.
Old senior citizens living on one block.
Want to change your answer? So in cities in the northern U.S., block was starting to sound like black. Black was starting to sound like black. Bet was drifting towards butt. Linguists call this the Northern Cities vowel shift, and it's one of the most significant sound changes happening in English right now. But here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. Here's why it's so significant. Or stop you in your tracks on the black. This shift developed and spread during the golden age of radio, during the rise of television, during the era when everyone in America was supposedly watching the same 3 networks and hearing the same Walter Cronkite-style standard accent on every single night. Mass media didn't stop it. Mass media didn't even slow it down. People in Chicago kept...
I would assume that when you're younger, it probably has more of an effect, but that's interesting. I would not have guessed that... Does hearing a different accent strengthen your local accent? As like a way to make that seem like it's outside?
Sounding more and more like people in Chicago, not like the news anchors beaming into their living rooms. Lebow's conclusion was blunt. Passive exposure to a dialect through media does not cause people to adopt that dialect.
Okay.
You can hear a voice 10,000 times on a screen and it won't change how you talk. Something else is doing that. By the way, that's not how language works, is the feeling you want on repeat for like 6 weeks. That's literally my Intro to Linguistics course. Link in the description for the waitlist. Anyway, that's something else is the speech community. Here's the principle that linguists have arrived at. We learn to talk like the people we talk with, not the people we listen to.
Sure.
Language change happens through face-to-face interaction with people whose social approval we want. Your accent is shaped by your friends, your classmates, your coworkers, your neighborhood, the people whose nods of recognition actually matter to you. And this brings us to the Peppa Pig thing. Why does that effect seem real? Because toddlers are in an unusual situation. They have small speech communities, and they're forming their phonology from scratch. The cartoon they watch 6 hours a day, not my kid, hopefully not yours either, but you get what I'm saying, is genuinely a significant chunk of their linguistic input. But notice what happens. The second those kids start school and get embedded...
Well, I would assume also a lot of kids are probably... a lot of these shows get you to respond to the TV show, right? It's like... You know, you watch Dora the Explorer, right? It's like, where is this thing? Oh, what is... Swiper, no swiping. So like you're having a dialogue with the show, even though you're not having a dialogue with the person. So when you're young, it kind of does fit into that like dialogue kind of thing. And also when you're a kid, you don't necessarily know that like the show isn't real. So you might feel like you're trying to get approval from the show. That's my theory, at least.
In a real peer group, the British features melt away. The speech community wins. It always wins. I had my own weird version of this that I noticed in my child and her peers, and her friends' parents didn't notice because...
we mostly did trailers before. We checked out the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailers and some other things.
It was what linguists call below the level of consciousness. For a while, my daughter had a Canadian accent. The culprit there was the voice actors on Daniel Tiger who say, it was not a big scoop, or whatever. Thankfully, it's resolved. But if you or someone you love has been affected by a Canadian accent, know that help is available. And it does get better. It gets better. Results not guaranteed in Quebec, Nova Scotia, or PEI. And at least it wasn't full-on Toronto. Tutu's my guy.
Tutu's my word.
That would be hilarious. Leave me a comment, by the way, if you want to know what the hell is going on up in Toronto, Brodie. Anyway, for everyone past early childhood, media is wallpaper. It's there. We absorb vocabulary and slang from it. Riz, Lulu, no cap, spread through TikTok just fine. But vocabulary is the most superficial layer of language in this regard. The deep stuff, your vowels, your consonants, your prosody, the actual sound.
Like you can pick up words relatively easily, right? So you might start saying macas if you watch a lot of Australian content, but you're going to pronounce it like you would pronounce... Maybe you'd pronounce it differently just because you're picking up a specific vocabulary with a specific accent. But I hear a lot of people who'll say... Sometimes I hear Americans who will say Australian terms, and they say it in the weirdest American accent possible. Like Melbourne. Melbourne's actually a great example. It's not fucking Melbourne. I called McDonald's Macca's because it sounds cooler. No, we haven't done Saw yet. No, not yet.
You, that comes from your community. Now, accents and dialects are changing, just not the way people assume. Linguists talk about two opposing forces. The first is dialect leveling. This is when distinctive local features fade and regional varieties become more similar to each other. And it does happen, but the mechanism isn't television. It's people moving. When populations relocate, when rural folks move to cities, when suburbs mix speakers from different backgrounds, dialects rub up against each other in actual conversation and kind of sand down their sharpest edges. Britain's estuary English.
I have noticed it's not as bad. You hear you hear less Melbourne now, but I still do hear it from time to time. I think it's that at the start, but now since it's happening to so many, they go to kindergarten, and now the usual environment that would usually go to the accent is slowly going away. That's fair. But you do still have the teacher there, right? And the teacher is going to act as some sort of like leveling out of the environment.
Spreading out from London.
But also, not all of the kids are watching the same shows, right? So some are going to be watching Peppa Pig, some are going to be watching Bluey, some are going to be watching fucking TikTok brain rot.
London is a textbook case. It's a face-to-face phenomenon driven by mobility, not media. The second force is dialect divergence, and this is the one that breaks everyone's intuition. In many places, dialects are actively becoming more different from each other, not less. The northern cities shift is the prime example. Those cities sound less like the rest of America today than they did 100 years ago. African-American English has, by many measures, diverged from surrounding white varieties over the 20th century, not converged with them, thanks to segregation and natural drift. But also, Gerard van Herk has a very interesting paper that claims that the same forces behind dialect leveling, people moving, may also be at play here too, as people try to sound distinct from the newcomers. The point is that
right, so you hang more around your own group of people, so you start you sort of subconsciously strengthen your accent as a way to sound distinct from the rest of the people. Paw Patrol is the only US kids show I know of. SpongeBob? SpongeBob's a thing.
Is proceeding apace. Pittsburgh sounds more like Pittsburgh than ever before.
Like if I was explaining to Yins like what I do on Sundays.
Why would dialects diverge in an age of mass media, though? Because the next piece of the puzzle. How you talk is not just a transmission system for words. It's a flag. It's a uniform. It's one of the most powerful tools that humans have for signaling who we are and who we belong with. It's a persona, to use the linguistics terms. Sociolinguists studying communities from Martha's Vineyard to Glasgow to Detroit have found the same pattern over and over and over again. When a local identity feels threatened or distinctive or worth claiming, people unconsciously lean into the features that mark them as local.
Does anyone here code switch? I will say that I like my accent, like I can, when I'm trying to speak in a video, trying to speak in a microphone, I don't know if you'd call this code switching or just correctly enunciating what I'm saying. But like when I'm not on camera, I care less about how I pronounce things. And you get a lot more of that in stream, right? Like my streams, things tend, like I stumble over words more often as well, but I put less of an emphasis on like how I pronounce every word compared to the videos especially. But I don't know if you call that code switching or just I'm on camera, therefore I am speaking on camera. As for like actually like in person, if I know, like if I'm talking to people who have a stronger accent, like I'll let that go more often. I grew up with a mother with a US accent, a father with a British accent. Guess which one I picked up? That's kids who are already in school. I mean, like little bitty kids who can't even read it. Right.
That's why Van Herk's fear of a black phonology makes sense. A classic Lebov study on Martha's Vineyard, maybe the classic Lebov study, found that islanders who most strongly identified with the island, who didn't want to be lumped in with the tourists, produced the most exaggerated version of the local vowels. They weren't doing it on purpose, though. It wasn't actual exaggeration. Identity was steering their mouths. This is why a globalized, hyper-connected world doesn't necessarily produce a global accent. If anything, it can intensify the urge to sound like somewhere, to not be from nowhere. Your accent says, I'm from here. I belong to these people. You can place me. That's valuable, and it gets more valuable, not less, as everything else gets more interchangeable. There's one more piece of this that's...
Oh, no, there are definitely people that code switch accents. There are people... It's this weird thing. There are people in Australia who desperately want to sound American. It doesn't work for a lot of them. A lot of them are really bad at it. But I heard this clip the other day of this girl. She was like phasing in and out of an Australian accent and like a Californian accent, and it sound fucking cursed. Because she'd be like, she would say water and then immediately speak like a Californian, and then throw something else in, and then back to California, throw something else in, back to California, and it fucking hurt my brain.
Too important to leave out, and I should probably make a whole video about. Across decades of sociolinguistic research and study after study, language after language, one finding keeps showing up. Women and girls are the leaders of most sound changes. You know that tag, the future is female? Well, linguistically, it's proven fact.
I meant Filipinos. Well, I don't know about Filipinos.
Use them more frequently and push them a little bit further than men do. The northern cities shift, led by women. The California vowel shift, led by women. Uptalk? Technically, high-rising terminal, the HRT.
The Valorant accent.
That gets people the second most upset. Vocal fry.
Let me show you the Valorant accent.
The amount of Valorant accent in this call is crazy. Yes, probably because the Valorant accent is based off me and Zom's voice.
Okay, that's not a good clip. There's a fun clip showing off. Is this the one?
Yo, Jay, you want to go knives and buy me?
What's up with this Jet?
I really don't.
Yeah, what's up with these nonchalant gamers?
Sorry, once our Rain and Jet actually want to win the game, or Gecko gets more than 3 kills, we win.
Wait, what'd you say?
I don't know how I get fucking Immortal 1 Ascendant players in my game, but...
Yo, has anyone ever told you your Valorant accent is so strong? Like, it's actually really strong.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to be funny, nobody cares.
No, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not kidding. I swear to God, your Valorant accent is so fucking strong. It's actually embarrassing. Like, I actually fucking cringe when I hear you talk like that.
Oh, I get Ascendants and Immortal Ones in my lot.
Who's next?
Okay, good shit.
Gecko literally bought his account.
Yippee!
4 and 14.
Need a drop.
Oh my god.
Didn't even check the corner, you dumb fuck. Fuck that looks a butt.
He literally caged me off.
Guy just runs out of spawn and looks at nothing.
Dude.
The idea of Valorant accent is like, usually when you speak, you fall off towards the end. Valorant accent, the idea is it keeps picking up and up and up, and there's like, it never falls back down. And a lot of people find it very annoying. It's kind of like an extreme modified version of uptalk.
Vocal fry. Technically creaky people led by women. Uptalk? Technically high-rising terminal, the HRT that gets people the second most upset. Vocal fry. Vocal fry. Technically creaky phonation. The spread of new vowel qualities, disproportionately driven by young female speakers, all of them, who then get mocked for the very innovations that the rest of the population will be using 20 years later. So why? The leading theories point to denser and more linguistically engaged social networks, more attention to socially meaningful variation, and the role of young women as central nodes in the communities where change incubates. Whatever the precise mechanism, the pattern is robust enough that linguists basically take it as a given. Finding counterexamples would make a huge splash on the sociolinguistics conference circuit. So when you see headlines panicking about how teenage girls are ruining English, they're not ruining anything. They're showing you what English is going to sound like in 2055, in the year 2525. No, wait. So
I don't get the joke.
Let's bring it home where the heart and the vowels are. Are accents and dialects becoming more similar?
What happened to your mic, mate? your mic died?
Let's bring it home where the heart and the vowels are. Are accents and dialects becoming more similar because of technology? The short answer is no, not the way people think. Media gives us shared slang and shared references, but it doesn't reshape our vowels. The Northern Cities shift developed in defiance of television, despite television. Local accents are in many cases becoming more distinct, not less. What actually changes how we sound is who we talk to, who we want to belong with, and who we want to be. And also just like time and drift. The Peppa Pigs grow up, they go to school, they find their people, and they end up sounding like them. Not like a cartoon, not like a news anchor, not like an algorithm, like their community. Because that, in the end, is what an accent has always been.
Hello.
The sound of belonging somewhere. If you found this interesting, hit subscribe, drop a comment with the most distinctive feature of your local accent.
Oh, wrong channel.
And if you want to go from, neat, to actually being able to analyze this stuff yourself, my intro to linguistics
watching a video on accents and how Peppa Pig affects them.
course is open to join the waitlist. Link in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Happy learning.
Keep in mind, everything he's saying here is relevant to primarily English as a first language. As a second language, you're going to have like weird fucking dialect stuff. Anyone with English as a second language has, especially if they use content and teachers from various different cultures, you're going to have a cooked accent. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. It's going to be cooked no matter what you do. Anyway, that was fun. I like language zone stuff. I do. That's always fun.